You've heard me say cooking is a science, and when it comes to cooking pasta, there are a lot of myths out there. So we asked Science Sam to do a little myth busting for us.
Today we're in my home science lab, aka the kitchen, to put 3 big myths about cooking pasta to the test with science. Myth number 1, adding oil to pasta water stops the pasta from sticking. What I'm gonna need are 2 pots of boiling pasta, and the variable is gonna be one has oil and the other doesn't. Now while we wait for that to boil, to make this a good scientific test, I did make sure that they have the same volume of water. Now that these are boiling, we're gonna grab equivalent amounts of pasta, looks pretty even, and we're gonna add it to each of our pots here. We've just added the pasta to the boiling water, so now I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of oil to one of the pots. You can see the pasta water getting cloudy, especially in the early stages. That's when the starch is exploding out of the pasta. That's when you get that glue situation happening. Got another few minutes here, looking good. Time for our results. Let's check our no oil control. A sticky mess. Let's see if the oil did any better. No, it did not. That oil didn't mix in. How could it break up this starch glue? Myth busted. Time for myth number 2. The amount of water you boil pasta in matters. To test this, we got our pot, pasta, and my scale. To put this to the test, we're gonna use 3 different volumes of water, but first we have to make sure we're using equal amounts of pasta for each. So let's measure that out. Now to put it all to the test, we're gonna do a Goldilocks experiment here. We have the same amount of pasta in each bowl, but different amounts of water in each pot. This one has just a bit of water, 1.5 liters. This one has a lot of water, 5 liters. And this one is just right in the middle with 3 liters of water. Now we got these at a nice boil, so we're gonna add in our pasta. Number 2, and the big one. Now we're gonna let each of these cook for the same amount of time, just 10 minutes, then we'll check our results. Let's check out our results. Science is all about observation. So from a quick look, we can see they all seem to be equally cooked, but let's look a little bit closer. The wiggle test, all right, looks like they got the same level of bounce. Let's compare these two. Seems to be pretty good, but now let's go even deeper. I'm gonna cut into each of these and make sure that, just because the outside is cooked doesn't mean the inside was. So we're gonna cut into them each and have a look. And what do you think? I see no difference. They all seem equally cooked no matter how much water you put them in. Myth busted. And our final myth, a wooden spoon across the top of a pot stops it from boiling over. To test this myth, we got the wooden spoon, we got our pasta, and our trusty pot. Now that we got that boiling nicely, we're gonna add in our pasta. Now we're gonna wait for this to come back up to a boil to test this myth. You can see the rough edge of the wooden spoon is popping those starch bubbles, making more space, so instead the bubbles go inwards instead of over. So is this myth busted? Well, it's kind of working, but it's only gonna buy us just enough time to turn down the heat. And there you have it, 3 myths tested, and it just goes to show that even when you're cooking pasta, there's a bit of science to explore.
Please welcome Science Sam. Hey Sam.
Hi, Mary.
How's it going?
So good. We had a lot of fun in my house.
I love that. You cook, right?
I do, but I'm shy in front of people. It's hard.
Okay. It is, honestly, it's a little intimidating.
Under pressure. I'm used to just one person watching.
Yeah, someone who knows you and loves you, and it's fine.
And if he doesn't watch, he can't eat it. He has to be nice.
Amazing. Okay, so there's a good amount of science when it comes to making
Absolutely.
the perfect pasta sauce. Okay.
Absolutely.
So what are we talking about today?
Okay, so we talked a lot with our myth bust with starch, and that's kind of the key of what we're going to do today. And it all we saw that it could make a gloopy mess if it boils over and you get all that starch water.
Yeah.
It can make your noodles stick. that stuff's no fun. But it can also be a big help if you understand the science.
Okay.
It all starts with this guy here. I had to bring a molecule, Mary.
You had to.
Because this here is not only the building blocks for all starch. Starch is just a bunch of these lined up in different ways. It is also the universal energy source for all cells, for every organism
For me?
on the planet. For you, for bacteria, for plants, for everything.
Really?
They all use this molecule, glucose, as energy.
Oh.
So that's what starch is. So plants want to store it because it's obviously super useful.
Yeah, yeah.
And so they do it with these guys. And now normally you got the starch sitting in these granules like a balloon.
Okay.
Okay, so they're not doing anything. And you might notice starch in your pantry and potato starch, which we have here. And we also have some corn starch. That's when it's sitting in the granules.
Got it.
Then you add water, and we can do that here actually.
Okay.
I'll let you pour that one. And as you add the water, you can give that a stir with your little toothpick.
All right.
Here's what happens. The starch granules start to expand.
Ooh, they're getting clumpy.
And that's why you'll start to notice, you can see it's getting hard to stir. It's a little
Yeah.
bit clumpy. That's because it's thickening, because you're getting all these bigger blobs of granules expanding. And then what you can see here, yours is...
Mine's really
you're having
sticky.
fun.
Yeah.
You can see just how thick it is. I didn't
Yeah.
even fully mix mine, but you get the idea.
That is so. Is this like
Yeah.
the same thing you do when you make slime? Like
Oh,
when
yeah.
we were kids, did anyone do that?
Oh, yeah.
You do it in a tub and you jump on
Oobleck.
it and then sink slowly.
It's got the fun name Oobleck.
Oobleck, yes.
Yeah, so lots of fun here. The most important thing to notice is just that thickness, and that's because all your starch granules are expanding.
Yeah.
They get more than 5 times their size.
Wow.
With your pasta water, because you're also adding heat, not only does this keep getting bigger and bigger, the heat makes it pop. I'm not
Okay.
going to pop the balloon.
No.
We're just
Yeah.
going to do this.
Yeah.
Unceremoniously deflate that balloon.
Yeah.
And as that bursts, you get starch molecules released into your pasta water. And now
okay.
we saw in our myth bust, it doesn't matter how much water you cook your pasta in. It doesn't. Your pasta will cook anyway. But the difference will be how much, like how concentrated your starch water is. That pasta water. So here's when we had a little bit of pasta and a lot of pasta. You can see the difference there.
I like how it gets so murky. So what you're saying
So
is all the
cloudy.
like balloons that are holding all that starch have
Yeah.
popped.
Yeah, and you got-
now the starch is in here.
You have less water, so it's more concentrated.
Okay, cool.
This is really useful. This is the magic to the sauce.
Honestly, it is.
Because this can act as an emulsifier to bring together oily and watery bits of your sauce.
Yeah.
And it thickens it, as we saw.
All right.
So now we're going to figure out and do a little test of when to add this magic sauce to your sauce.
Okay, perfect. Let's do it. What are we doing?
So I got you heating up some, just a nice, my favorite red sauce here.
Beautiful. I love a red
We're going
sauce.
to do 3 different conditions. In the first, oh, you're coming to me.
I'll
That's
come to you.
nice.
Yeah.
Just plop some sauce right on there. A lot of people wonder, like, can I just do it in the bowl? Okay, well, we'll see.
So this. Do you know what this looks like? This
Yeah.
looks like a cartoon plate of
Yeah, it
pasta.
looks like a cartoon. So
Yeah.
there you go. You
Yeah.
can see the level of mixing. We'll let you see all of them before you decide.
All right.
Okay, so that's option number 1. We haven't added anything to the sauce. Option number 2, we're gonna add some of this starch water. This
Okay.
is just the pasta water, which you could scoop out while you're boiling. I
No,
got it bottled up cute.
I like that. This always feels counterintuitive to people who I think
Yeah.
don't cook a lot, is
Yeah.
that you're adding water
Yeah.
and it feels like it's going to thin out the sauce.
Yeah.
But what it does, I would add a little
Okay,
more.
Sorry, you're the pro.
I was going to say,
I'm
I was like, yeah. Honestly, the more water you add, somehow the silkier it gets. All
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So in this option, this is another thing some people do, is you kind of sauce and mix on the side. So I'm actually gonna dump these in here, and you're gonna put some sauce for me in there.
I love it.
Thank you. And we're just
Perfect.
gonna mix that off the heat.
Okay.
So we got the starch water, but we're doing it off the heat.
Okay.
Oh, you're gonna mix that.
Is that would
yeah,
you like
please
to?
do.
Okay,
please
cool.
do. So you can obviously see we're getting a lot more mixing of the sauce here.
Yeah.
It's holding together nicely, a little bit less watery than our first option.
Yeah.
We'll pour that in the plate.
That's true. When you do sauce on top,
Yeah.
it gets really soupy around the edges.
Yeah, it starts to separate because you haven't used that starch water to emulsify.
Yeah.
Exactly. So this is looking pretty good. But
We got
if
the-
I may,
Yes.
I'm going to dump this on the heat into our sauce. We have that starch water in there. Plus the starches with that heat are going to keep coming off the noodles.
Oh.
Now you're getting this nice, good stickiness. This is also going to stop your noodles from sticking together like we saw at my house.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're mixing it in with the sauce. That's going to keep them separate. No need to add oil. That makes it too slippery.
100%.
You want your sauce to stick.
Do you know what I love about this? It's like food Velcro. The starch
Yes.
just makes the sauce want to stick to everything.
But literally molecular Velcro.
Yeah.
Because starches are these molecules all lined up, and they literally just hook into one another, right, when they get released out.
over and over and over
Yeah.
again.
And that's why it becomes sticky. Literally Velcro, you're right.
And then you get this like thick,
Yeah.
delicious, saucy pasta. I would
Yeah.
call this sauce tight. Do you know what I mean? It tightens up.
Is that the technical term?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like silky
learning.
and delicious. Oh, yeah. Okay, like,
You
let's
see?
take a gander.
Yeah, so
Which
have a
plate
look.
would you want? First one?
You gotta learn naked noodles.
No, like naked noodles. Then we got this one. You know,
bad.
it's fine. But then this one looks like an absolute dream.
Yeah, it's
Sam,
got a hold.
it's got a hold.
Yeah.
Sam, you're changing up the pasta game one science experiment at a time.
That we
Thanks,
are.
starch. Yeah, great job. Hey, Mary here. What did you think? Drop your comments below and don't forget to like and subscribe for more of the good stuff.